Hello, everyone. This is Rachel Wright here with Verdant Strategies 420 CPA, here with Beard Bros Media. Thanks to the Beard Bros for setting up this awesome podcast and many other podcasts. Check out their podcasts on beardbrosfarms.com. That's with a PHARMS.com. Anyways, I just want to say thanks to the guys, Jeff and Bill, Brian, for making this happen. There's some other folks in the background that don't want to be mentioned, but there's a team behind them. So this upcoming year, we're at the beginning of January and we're already planning for event show season. So I myself and the Beard Bros and we'll be heading all over the place, all over the country, the world. We're actually, maybe going overseas to your neck of the woods, Falk. So that will be great. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Falk of CannabisStartups.com. Falk, I'm not going to I know I'm already saying your name incorrectly. So if you want to, please correct me and say hello you're in Sri Lanka today, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself.
Yeah, sure. Falk Altenhofer. I founded Cannabis Startups 5 years ago when I spent a good half a year in Israel, discovering more about the R&D sector of cannabis up there, and finding out that there's a mislead in goals of startups and investors. So I thought that's definitely need to get fixed for the future European market. And therefore, I continue to organize meetups across Europe, from Dublin to Kiev 5 years ago, and a couple of smaller meetups. And CannabisStartups.com was funded kind of very organically. And now I'm supporting investors and founders to meet each other and to do brilliant business together.
Great. Your home base now is in Germany, right?
Right. I'm based in Cologne. Right now, we're shooting this video on the first day on my holidays in Sri Lanka. I'm spending some time with my family, but returning back soon.
Well, thank you for joining us from your first day on vacation. We're worldwide here. I'm in Nice, France right now. I've been here for about a month. And so just trying to check out the expansion of the cannabis market out here in the EU and seeing opportunities for not just investors, but definitely investors and U.S. founders, operators, brands, cultivators. So Falk and I are actually writing an article together that should be coming out shortly in the next couple of days, or it would have already come out by the time of this podcast. And so you can look out for that on our social media pages. But we're exploring kind of the ideas of U.S. operators, specifically cultivators right now is what we're focusing on, and even more specifically, cannabis cultivators in California. What are the opportunities? And we'll get into that a little bit later on in the podcast. But, let's lay the landscape of what exactly is going on in Germany and in Europe in general. If you could just give us a general landscape of what's going on right now.
Yes. In Europe, we have the European Union, so we have another layer of regulation up there. So we always need to talk to Brussels from our capital of origin in each country. And we need to ask Brussels if certain rules are fine with them and they meet their standard. And that's why Germany got very bold and said, yeah, we're going to legalize cannabis. But then Brussels says, well, you just can't sell it through the stores like you have it in the States. And therefore it was like here and there a kind of a small little twists to make at least happen. And what came out was free markets. The self-cultivation market, the association market, and the medical market.
It's very similar also, I know for sure in California, where we had nonprofit cooperatives. So that's how things started in California. So it's very similar, you know.
Yes, a lot of people telling me that when they say like, that was back then the same. This is the best time. It's not so crowded. You can really lay off you can position yourself quite perfectly for the future, what comes up. And I always tell them, hey, but you're very lucky because you've seen a market developing. And this is what's going to happen in Germany. This is a huge advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the resiliency and the characteristics that it takes to have been in the industry for a long time from an operator standpoint, and actually from a professional standpoint too. If you're a professional still in the industry 10, 15 years later, it means that you've seen, you know, the market mature and in various states, and you've seen it spread across the country. In the United States, you've been through a lot of different things. And especially for operators coming out to Germany, or investors looking to make a start in a new market, there are so many opportunities. So, yeah, I definitely think that's great. How about, do you want to talk about associations themselves? What are they? What does this mean? I know there's limitations and therefore revenue limitations as well.
Yeah, please tell me afterwards, how was it in California back then, or maybe still is, or maybe with the tribes. I really don't know about that. In Germany, it's the limitation is 500 members, 50 grams per member maximum a month, and that's roughly it, with the exception of that it has to be non-profit. What it means that in the end of the year, there shouldn't be a profit. So everyone is looking to hire very skilled workers, skilled consultancy boutiques, so they can get invoiced. So that the end there is no profit. So it's a very huge regulational CPA financial game. In the end, you need to have a very well-known team who's just having a huge experience with holding structures, etc.
Yeah. When I hear you say that, I'm just thinking of how people might want to take advantage of the system. And I don't know if that's possible there because you probably have audits and things like that. But I would imagine that potentially some of the founders or owners might put themselves on a really high payroll or something of that nature. Do you think that could be happening?
Yeah. I mean, everyone in the club is having huge earnings each month to get paid. Everyone has a kind of their own personal company, so you can invoice the association up there.
I'm hearing opportunities for professionals too, but okay. Let me pivot a bit to talking about cultivators coming out there, because I think that's one of the biggest opportunities right now. I think brands are potentially, I don't know, that's what I want to explore in this podcast. So first, let's talk about cultivators coming out from the US, setting the landscape here. We've got some cultivators that have been in the industry for 10, 20, even 30 years, believe it or not. And I know specifically, I'm from California, so obviously I'm going to be a little biased here. But I think that the rest of the world, from what I've seen, really does look to California. Hopefully that's not California exceptionalism. I'm a little proud of our state and what we've been able to produce. But what do you think about that? Do you think that the U.S. has opportunities with its experience in the methods to do a knowledge transfer? And then what do you think about California specifically, and how does the world see California?
Yeah, California is the mecca of cannabis, I would say, well known in the world for their culture. A lot of people see that different. For example, Germany, we got introduced in 2017, more on the medical side. Same in Israel. Everyone is working really on the R&D sector, and position themselves in the pharmaceutical sector in the end, and not using their branding for their culture, which has changed now with the association. Therefore, Cali weed, everyone knows Cali weed in Germany. Everyone wants it. Everyone is saying, hey, I got some Cali weed. Look at that, look at this. And I'm always asking how much you paid. And this is like most of the time double of the price. And I think there's the music, even that little origin saying that this is Cali weed doubling the price. This is just a huge demand for high quality products. I'm not even mentioning certain genetics. It's just like if it says Cali weed. And I think there's the big opportunity, not just on the medical side, also on the association, or even producing outside of Germany and, for example, Portugal, to sell it in the end in the medical market in Germany.
Yeah, definitely. So could you see a cultivator from California who's really well known going out to Germany and helping them with their cultivation methods at the association or elsewhere? Yeah.
Yeah, I hope. I mean, I've seen a lot of Americans living in Portugal right now. Of course, it has some weather conditions reasons for sure. I mean, Germany doesn't have the best weather for sure. But from tissue culture knowledge to really curing knowledge, this is like very niche specific. This is what's needed, and I hope I see more Americans coming to Germany, and I think that most of the Germans are quite English savvy. I really don't know about visas, etc. But I mean, if some already made it to Portugal, which is in the European Union, there should be a way into Germany as well.
Well, that's one reason why Americans are going to Portugal, because you can essentially buy a visa, so to speak. So one of the entry points for Americans and other people is known as Portugal. And so I think the price to get a visa in Portugal has gone up. It's really that I think you have to invest in real estate. It used to be like $200,000 that you would invest. I think this was a few years ago. And now the price has gone up to like $500,000. And I haven't checked on the rates recently. But essentially you have to, go into Portugal and buy real estate. And there's various ways to do that. Yeah.
So with this visa, you can always have a company, right, in Portugal?
Yeah, I mean, well, first you get your passport, your EU passport. So hence there is one of the opportunities if you decide that, you really want to be here in Europe. But yeah, I mean, I guess you and I had chatted about different places to maybe form a business if you were from the US. Obviously, there's tax considerations, but these are the things that we start thinking about when you're working from the US and working in the EU. Depending on what your presence is there in Europe, if you're going to physically be there. Honestly, a lot of people want to move to Europe. I'm one of them that likes to spend part of my time out here. Hence why cannabis, yeah. Hence why cannabis is, I'm so happy that it started to move out here, because now it's an opportunity for me to be out here more often. So yeah. But so if a cultivator came out, what would be the first path? Would they connect with German associations? Would they connect with German cultivators now that I think the restrictions you mentioned have been lifted in Germany, right?
What do you mean by lifted? Have been lifted?
Oh, as far as like cultivating in Germany, I think you had mentioned previously that there were some restrictions on cultivating within the country previously.
Oh,
and
yeah,
potentially
medical cannabis.
Yeah,
Yes,
tell us about
we had
that.
a tender. Yes, we had a tender. Oh, don't let me lie. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I think it was close to 2017, a bit later, I assume. Yeah, it was Afria, Demican, and Aurora at that time. And yes, it was a tender, and Afria sold their stake to Demican, but it was only like the limitation of growing cannabis. And this is not there anymore since April 1st last year. So everyone can grow medical cannabis in Germany for their market, or just export it as well.
So are you seeing
Yes.
more cultivations open up in Germany?
Yes. A lot of professionals who thought they could open associations and then just went into the direction of medical cannabis because there's no restriction. And they can really produce cannabis and not being like this. I always try to have this comparison in Germany, because since it's a big beer country, we always have like this little tiny craft beer breweries all around. And I really think this is how it's going to be with the associations in the future. Being a member of a certain craft local beer or cannabis brand, it says. And in the future, more and more, this American person or this American company really have to decide by themselves where to enter first. Mass production, if they understood the game of mass production, it's better in the medical space. But if they just want to have a little footprint on the German market with an association, this is the way to go. Where to start? Just reach out to me, and I can always help with a connection. It's hard to say, but I know a few people in Germany.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you are definitely a connector. That's what I've heard from our previous conversations as well. And that, it just emphasizes the importance of relationships. Relationships are so important in any industry, but especially in this industry. The regulations are constantly changing, I know, in the US, and I'm sure they're constantly changing over there in Germany, right? Or no?
Yes, indeed. Yes, we just announced in December that Germany is testing under this EU umbrella the sale of cannabis, which means that a certain it has to be scientific proved. So very lousy questions get asked to the people, and they can apply on the tender. Not on the tender, they can apply to get a license to sell it through their stores. But I think this is going to change soon, because I don't see a huge potential with the election coming up in February. And and I hope that Trump is, apropos elections, I hope that Trump is going to have a change there. What is your take, Rachel, by the way? Do we see finally the regulation and a normal market in the States and not state by state and level regulation?
Well, so if I had my crystal ball, no, I think there's probably, I really try not to project with regulations. I know as soon as I heard that the DEA was suggesting, I guess, rescheduling, that everybody was really, really excited, including myself. And then I said, wait, hold on. There's so many other steps that need to happen before the rescheduling. And now that there's a new presidency, I'm sure there's going to be most likely other priorities. Cannabis is not going to be the top priority. So I think we continue to operate our businesses as normal. We've been promised so many things in this industry. We've been promised safe banking, rescheduling, just you name it, not just even at the federal level and state levels and municipalities. And I think you just have to keep operating as normal. And if it happens, it happens. And then we deal with it. Then you can actually prepare yourself if it does, and start thinking about a plan. Okay, if things reschedule, investment comes in, X, Y, Z, this is what we're going to do. And then if we get safe banking, hopefully we can get lending from institutions that we weren't previously able to. And then that will open up the possibilities for these other things, right? So it's good to make plans just in case, but some people that I talk to are actually banking their whole future on rescheduling. And I definitely think that that's a mistake. We need to operate preparing for the future, but also think about where are we right now? The regulations may never change. So.
Right. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, it's, I mean, do they have a running business model? I mean, I've seen this in the past in Germany as well. There was a huge CBD market, with edibles, with gummies produced in the CBD space. It was made out of HHC, which is close to THC, to have this flow and to just test out certain product ranges. But in the end, it will be so much easier to just regulate the substances, THC. And I think earlier than later, people are trying out to produce their own edibles. So why not doing the step immediately and put a health claim on it and say, like, it's lab tested, it's produced XYZ, and everybody has a safe way of consuming it. Not even mentioning beverages.
Totally. There's so many opportunities. I have a question. So in Germany, are there such thing as a brand?
Cookies just got introduced.
Okay.
Yes, we have other brands. Like Flower Time translated, Blütezeit. A couple of brands get. A few came out of the just mentioned CBD space, and they really built relationships with influencers. As you know from the States, with rappers and other artists, and that gets established. In the medical space, they're very. It's not so easy to really establish brands. You have to watch out on your own health claims and what you're saying. The same with the association. It's only allowed to inform the user, and it's very not really written down what means informing. So there's still a discovery phase, let's say.
So help me to visualize. If I walk into a German association, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are there packages on the wall, or are they behind a, like in a back room where the pharmacists have to go and get it? What does it look like when you walk in? Are there brands everywhere?
I mean, you have to produce your own cannabis by yourself in your own cultivation. The What you just described is more of this dispensary experience, which means you really walk in a room in something, and you have this bud tender standing there who's helping you out. This is right now really made by software, by apps, so you can reserve your products up there. They have it on the shelf ready, and of course, the association can store a lot of cannabis, but of course, they want to ensure that all of the yield get picked up by the 500 members within a short time. But you can have like menus and everything up there if you want. There's no regulation, just from the outside, like every communication which gets out, like on social media, on posters, and even the outside of the pickup location, let's say.
So there's a lot of advertising. There's no advertising restrictions.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm still trying to see the opportunities for brands. So on the menu, when you walk in, do you see brands on the menu as you would in a typical dispensary, or are you just picking the strain or the product?
Correct. The strain is most of the time the brand, let's say. So people have to ensure that you use, of course, the strain of your brand, so it gets used more often. This is like some of the tricks you're using up there to have a consistent effect long term.
Okay. So going back to cultivation, would it be a better idea to be involved in a cultivation in Germany, or would it be a better idea to be involved to import into Germany and do a cultivation, say, in the Czech Republic or any other country?
I would say we already have a range right now about over 500 products in the medical space, and it's really easy to get those products prescribed by a doctor outside of Germany within the European Union via telemedicine. It's a very easy process. So I recommend going into the boutique craft association route, or using like really strong genetics from California to introduce to the market, and not using any stuff, because the race to the bottom is already there price wise, and now the game is on, as we just talked about, branding, cooperations with influencers to really push your own genetics. And this is the huge opportunity here.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about how you serve startups and or groups looking to expand who are actually beyond startup phase. They're just looking to expand to the EU market.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of startups which would be very happy to have a mentor, a cultivator from California up there, or experienced business people who've seen the industry in America, and finding to discover the similarities what we're going to have and how the market is evolving. And everything which are not touching the plant businesses are super interested in the German market because they're easy to introduce. And everything what's really touching the plant is already regulated, like seeds for centuries. So the market is open. It's really about introducing new premium genetics to the medical market and to grow them into tiny associations.
That's
I would
great.
say.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you see as far as startups? What kind of startups are you seeing? Are these people that have been in business before, or like maybe in the pharmaceutical markets or otherwise?
For the German market, coming
Yeah.
out from the American.
It doesn't have to be coming from America, just in general. Like, so the startups that you've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen, for example, we have around 7 companies who wants to give grow equipment to the association from container already. To give you an example, in this niche in producing in a container, we already have 7 companies. And this continues to fertilizers, light companies. Those are the examples where we have a lot. But when it comes to the niches, to the secrets, this is wide open space here, and nobody knows about it, and everybody is super open to learn more. And I think this is the major key. It's this openness to listen. And this is the opportunity for American companies to enter the German market, because you always need a partner who understands the culture nuances as well as the market potential. This gets you can describe this, yeah, but I think for a long lasting relationship, this is definitely key. That I know so many people who lived in California only to get to build a very tiny, small little network and to gather some experience from it. And now they're very well paid consultants and bring ideas into that. And this is the opportunity for American cultivators, especially from California.
That's great. That's great. As far as connecting, I know you talked about connecting investors with businesses. Tell me about what you do there.
Yeah, it's really about goal alignment and how people want to build their business up. And I'm trying to look as much as possible into the future from the investor side as well as the founder, about their motivation, their strengths, and their skill set. And it's and then I make this very transparent so both parties know where they and why they get introduced to each other, and where it's a way. And this is then try and error, trying this business model, and then if that works, perfect. Most of the time it doesn't. To use hypotheses and certain metrics, that always helps. I mean, of course, you always have to bring an intrinsic motivation to the table of testing things out, but metrics definitely help you on the financial side for sure, and on other sides if you are on the right track. And this is my majority of work. And then, of course, introducing partnerships, getting on the broader market, looking for funding. Germany is and always was in a country with generations of where generations of people work in one company, and we have a lot of family offices in Germany, and this is the very first step. And later, the more professionalized cannabis investors are coming in, and we don't have so many in Europe like you have in the States, of course.
So you're seeing a lot of interest in investing right now.
There's a huge interest in investing, but it really comes down on what is it? Does the investor knows or having some background information, not background information, some background skill set, what they had in the past, and are they able to use it to bring it to the table? It's like always, if you only a few investors are investing in everything and they're not there for a long time. So you have to have a good skill set in the certain domain of business
Right.
where they're in.
You mentioned another time we were chatting about, investors potentially having a background in the pharmaceutical industry and how that might be helpful.
Yeah, I think it's like this little clash of California weed culture and let's innovate in pharmaceutical products in the pharmaceutical from the German market, which is very old, very long, has a very long history, and I have a lot of examples where German innovation, German researchers brought some crazy medication. And I think this is the beauty of it. There's two sides coming together and bring really a holistic healthcare system, as well as looking at the person more holistically itself. And this is or both opportunity for the future.
I love that. I think we're going to wrap up a little bit here. Falk, do you have any, wrap up notes here? I know you just arrived on your vacation day one, so I don't want to take your whole vacation here.
No,
and
this
thank
is
you
not. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think if you really plan, if the American market gets too small for you, where do you move? And what is not so far of your own culture? And this is Europe. And where's the biggest market in the world? This is Germany. And it's for a reason that quite a lot of companies have their headquarter in Germany. It's not about their international population, as well as we just have a huge buying power. We are the strongest country in Europe. And if you look at the rankings, Germany is always in the top 10.
Yeah. Well, are you going to the ICBC Berlin conference by chance?
Yes.
Yes. You're going? Okay.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Sounds great. That sounds great. It's definitely on my wish list. I'm seeing there's a lot of conferences happening around that time. So, trying to do all the travel arrangements and decide between the various events. But I know a lot of people that are going there. I'd love for you to take us on a tour to an association if they will let us go there. I don't even know if they'll let us go in there as the public, or you have to have some type of security badge. But I'd love to be able to see one and just see what it looks like, see how it feels and operates and things like that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah. Well, excellent, Fox. So how do we find you online? How do our guests get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can look for my name on LinkedIn or just type in cannabis startups.com. I post almost daily an article about what comes to my table and my thoughts about the European market. And I run for quite some years every month a deep dive with Peter Homberg about EU regulation. And I think this is the very first point where to get an idea of this market itself and all the potentials which are lying here. And as everyone knows, reading about regulation should be a little hobby, because out of regulation there comes business opportunities, and you definitely have a step up front versus the other ones who just doesn't understand or too lazy. But this is definitely a key for sure in Germany.
Yeah, and on your website, it's cannabis startup or startups?
Startups.com, yes.
.com. We
Correct.
can't forget the hyphen. But yeah, because I tried it without the hyphen the other day. It didn't work. And I said, oh, that's right. He said there was a hyphen. So if you're looking for...
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. And with that, this is Rachel Wright, financing your cannabis future with Verdant Strategies and 420 CPA on Beard Bros Media.